Now, come on.
Let's open the case.
We have to open the case up.
So those are two albums that I feel like are never gonna see the light of the top 5.
No,
I
not
do,
for me.
honestly, sometimes she was experimenting in a way where I said, put the formula down. I think I've seen enough,
And that's the beauty of experimenting.
But and exactly. So you never know what you're gonna get.
Welcome back to Evolution of a Snake. I'm Zach.
And I'm Madeline.
And today we're going to be talking about our 5 favorite Taylor Swift albums. I think it's important to note that Madeline and I have famously retired from ranking albums. We've retired.
It's notorious. The reason that I've retired, and even though I'm doing this video, I've still retired. Because here's the thing. It's true today. It won't be true tomorrow. It won't be true next week, in 3 months. It's always shifting. You know, one of these days, it's not today. It hasn't been in the last 2-3 years, but one of these days, maybe Midnights will crack the top 5. You don't know, and I don't know that either.
Maybe Lover will get in.
Maybe.
Highly doubt it, but
Highly
you don't know
doubt
what
it,
I'm going to go through in 2 to 3 years.
So I say it's always shifting, it's always changing. So I never want anybody to hold me like, well, you said in the Evolution of a Snake video 5 years ago that your number one was X. It's like, don't worry about that. That's not me anymore.
They love to do that to us. You need to know that we get on the mic and black out. That's what you need to know. You start talking and then whoop, it's gone.
People say, remember you said this? And it's like, I never said that.
I literally never said that.
Never said that.
I never once said that in my life. Yeah, I think the only 2 that kind of stay exactly where they are is my number 1 and number 2. And I just think those aren't ever going to change. I have not seen any fluctuations. It would really take something new to knock these 2 divas off my top 2 spots. And also, this is important to note, we're not doing a scientifically ranking, objective ranking. No, 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 no. This is our 5 Taylor Swift albums that speak to us as veteran Swifties of a long period of time.
Yeah, so it's not, I don't want to hear any, but the torture poets, I don't care about that. This is coming from my heart. Okay, and that means that it's unpersecutable. You can't persecute my heart, my soul, my spirit. No, you can't persecute that. You can disagree, but I don't care.
We're literally looking around in our blood-soaked gowns and seeing something that you can't take away, which is our top 5 Taylor Swift albums.
And what are you going to do about it? Nothing. That's what I thought. Okay, thanks.
That's on period. Before we get into it, though, girls, tour is coming up, and we're so excited. We're really close to selling out opening night in New York City, which would be a dream come true. You know, some of us lived in New York City. Some of us, well, the 2 of us went to Taylor Swift's apartment once and smoked a cigarette outside on the stoop. I don't know who
Some
that is,
of us
actually.
were there against our wills. Some of us didn't want to be there.
This was years ago.
Years and years ago.
Many years pre-podcast starting.
So long ago, yeah. It was 2016.
So, let me tell you, Madeline and I's New York City trip is going to be very different to the one we had before. There will be no Law and Order.
There's not. Well, there will be Law and Order. I'll tell you that for free. I love Law and Order in the hotel room. Ooh, I love Law and Order in the hotel room. That's my favorite thing. But there won't be any vegan pasta. There's not going to be a sheet separating us from a deranged roommate. There won't be cigarettes. Neither of us smoke cigarettes anymore. By the way, can I get some W's in the chat?
Yeah, come on,
Both
girls.
Zach and I quit smoking. It's
and
not
I'm
easy
sick
to do.
Of the cigarette propaganda. I'm sick of it. Enough. It's everywhere. They're saying Marina's doing it. Addison Rae's doing it. Charlie's always doing it. Enough. Smoking kills. Okay, smoking kills. And if you want to stop smoking from killing people, evolutionofasnake.com to get your tickets to the Snares tour.
Exactly.
LA and DC are sold out. If you can't come, you're international. You're wherever you are. Watch us live from LA. That's an option that you have too. Hello. And also check out our new merch. Okay, I think I did all my plugs.
I think you did. And I think we're ready.
We're ready to get into it. Shall we go bottom up?
Yes. Start from the bottom and work our way to the top.
What is your number 5 favorite Taylor Swift album, Madeline?
So this one's really deranged, but I wrote it down and I stared at it for a long time and I decided it's the truth. That's how I feel right now and I'm sticking with it. My number 5 is The Torture Poets Department. That's right. The new girl. I said, she's welcome to the villa. I said, let her in. Let her knock on the door. I let her in.
Let's get her to cook.
I love her. I know that there's some, I don't think in the fandom, I really don't think in the fandom there's any dissension among the ranks about this being one of the best Taylor Swift records, I should say.
Oh, I've seen dissent.
Well, they need to stop.
In our own Patreon.
They need to end it immediately. To me, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say something so evil. Not liking or not understanding the Torture Poets Department is like a red flag for fake Swiftyism.
I agree with you. It's the most Taylor Swift album that has ever been released ever
It
in the
is.
history of the world.
And you know what I really think about it is that it's the first Taylor Swift album that's been like this since before 1989. So all of the new fans got weeded out. That's exactly what happened.
They don't
get
it.
You
know what
it is?
It's like a Speak Now Red hybrid with a deranged Midnight's production flair, which is what makes it so weird. And I love it. It's actually should I spoil? It's actually at number 4 on my list.
Well, exactly. So we're a couple of girls who we know a thing or two.
We know a little something about a little something.
I mean, it's also fair to say, you could say, recency bias. I guess if you wanted to say that, I don't feel that way. I feel like it's my truth.
Say that.
But if you wanted to say it's recency bias, I mean, I guess so. I'm listening to it pretty much all the time. If I'm streaming Taylor, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably streaming Torture Poets Department these days, but it is starting to get into summer, and I do have to be honest with you. When the sun comes up, Mama likes to stream a little bit of Lover. I'm going to say it.
Completely fair enough and understandable, but I am streaming Tortured Poets January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December.
Well, exactly.
And in an imaginary month that exists in my mind where I Hate It Here is on replay all the time. Tortured Poets she's everything to me. She's my silly rabbit.
She is.
She literally my right-hand arm man. Like, she does a lot of things for me. And what I've noticed is I went to my Last FM when I was doing this to kind of like see, I've only started tracking, I think, since 2023 to see like what my most streamed Taylor albums and songs are. And it surprised me and it informed the way that this ranking was going to go. But Tortured Poets was obviously number 1. And every one of my top 10 songs is more or less from the Torture Poets Department. So Guilty as Sin, Down Bad, they are being replayed nonstop, endlessly. And I think like it's interesting because we've said so many different things about Torture Poets, especially from when it first came out to now. And I think actually, even though it's like unrelatable to me, when I listen to it, there are things that apply to my life, but I feel so deeply connected to Taylor in a way that I haven't felt from when she was writing in a very particular way. I did not feel connected to Taylor with Midnights. I felt like she was keeping us at an arm's distance, which was obviously intentional because she had a lot to hide. With Tortured Poets, it was like, again, I think such an act of courage and bravery to be that direct and that honest. And it really reinstilled my hope that Taylor Swift, I always knew this, but it proved to me once again, greatest songwriter, period.
And that's all there is to it. I completely agree with everything you just said. And I really do think that there's something to be said about the plain old candor. She was telling the truth in a way that did nothing for her. It only made her look worse.
It only made people make fun of her, in fact.
Yeah. But that's Taylor, and that's what all these people, she's really not this like pop princess, hardcore diva, reputation snake sort of a lady. I mean, that part of her is very much like there, and it does exist, and we see it on stage a lot, but like, I feel like songwriter Taylor isn't that girl. Does that make sense? Like, she can
100%.
emulate that girl. She becomes that girl when she's doing 1989, Reputation, even Midnights, that kind of a thing, but like, when she's just got her guitar and she's got her notebook and her pen, that's when we see her guitar and she's taking us down to the honky tonk. That's when, we're looking at the real diva. And I always find it so weird, like Mermaid Swift, when Mermaid Swift was first like becoming a thing and everybody was like, this is not
She was
Taylor.
The laughing stock. We were like, this is nonsense.
Laughing stock. Of course, now that she's a wag, we're seeing more and more Mermaid Swift rise.
If you don't know who Mermaid Swift is, Mermaid Swift was, I don't know if she still exists, was a Twitter account that used to basically, before AI was a thing, badify Taylor Swift. Just like edit her basically onto pictures of her looking like Kylie Jenner. Is the best way I can describe it.
Right. It was like supermodel-esque, super skimpy clothing, just like the hottest girl at the club. That's what she would edit Taylor's face onto. Some of them were pretty convincing. She was very good at her job, Mermaid Swift. She was very good at it. I still have some Mermaid Swift edits in my phone, but it was like, you'd see them and you'd be like, Taylor would never, ever, ever look like an Instagram baddie. But, no. Well, I mean, you tell me. The Instagram baddie does rise. But it's like most of the time when she's trying to wag, I feel like she kind of looks a little bit goofy.
You're telling me more often than not. This is
I
the
mean,
problem.
there's sometimes where she's really badified, but anyway, this is all aside from the point. The point is Mermaid Swift and the badification of Swift and the wag Swift, all of that is completely separate from the Torture Poets department. And it's kind of weird to have the Torture Poets department era and also have the waghood era at the same time. Not to sound too negative on the football games thing, but you know, a little bit.
They seem they seem incongruous with each other.
They do.
And that also is because Tortured Poets was written in like basically a fit and a spurt. It was clearly written very quickly, all at the same time, and very much, the Tavises don't want to hear this, very much before that was really a big feature in her life. So what we're hearing is a dispatch from, essentially, if we had an album during Bleachella, this is exactly what would have happened. It's a period of time where she has lost her damn mind and has chosen to write about it.
I need the Bleachella album expeditiously.
Well, they call it karma and it doesn't exist.
That's not real. That's not real. No.
A million times.
The Bleachella album. I'm going to tell you something right now. That would have been the finest album of all time. That would have been an album from the ages, because that truly would have been like, if you thought Reputation was her doing a character, oh, baby. Let Bleachella on the mic, because that was a different lady. That would have scared you.
But back to Torture Poets, even a song like But Daddy, I Love Him, to me, I was like, she's so back. Like, we're here. That is a classic Taylor Swift song. It is overwrought. It is overwritten. It is way too long. It is sometimes nonsensical for people who don't really understand what's going on. And yet, God save the most judgmental people.
And you know what? One of my favorite things about Torture Poets is that we actually get, it feels like it's all about, you know, the Maddie interlude, this, that, the other thing, but there's actually so much more to it. Songs like Clara Bow, songs like The Prophecy, songs like I Hate It Here, these songs where we get like a glimpse into how she's feeling about her position in life, about how she has a life that nobody, not even celebrities that are in kind of a similar position as her, nobody has a life just like Taylor Swift. She walks alone. And I think those songs like The Prophecy, like Clara Bow, where she kind of like expresses this like this complete dire loneliness of like, I'm the only one of me, baby, that's the fun of me, but like not in a good way.
No,
I'm
in
truly
like a Change the Prophecy way.
You're on your own, kid kind of a way is endlessly fascinating to me. And I feel like it's kind of the closest and the most honest that Taylor has ever been. Again, not just in terms of Maddie, but also in terms of like, I don't know, like this actually isn't so glamorous all the time. And sometimes I'm not the baddie. And Mermaid Swift eludes me. And sometimes
was once
this cage was once just fine. Not anymore. And to hear her use words like that so explicitly, cage, slammer, jail, hospital. et cetera, and it is about Joe, of course it is, but it's also like, I think sometimes she might think it's a cage of mine own making, like on
She's also
Dear
very
Reader.
Isolated. If she wants privacy, she has to be extremely isolated. Like she cannot interact with the world like a normal human being. And I think we got a glimpse of what that actually feels like for her on this album that we haven't had directly in a really long time.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed hearing about it, and I kind of felt like it was share time. And I kind of feel like, yeah, she was sharing on Midnights and she was sharing on Folk Evermore, but obfuscation played a big part in all three of those albums. And even on Lover, I'll say it, there was some obfuscation on Lover. I'm asking you, do you really think Death by a Thousand Cuts was about a Netflix movie? I don't.
Do you think Afterglow is a romantic song? If you do, you need to listen to it one more time. Run it
back.
I don't
like it's cuckoo. So Torture
Cornelia
Poets
Street says a lot.
Yeah. So Torture Poets was really like the curtain being pulled back in a way that I kind of started to think she was never going to do again. And I would have been okay with that because I would have understood it. Like when you're Taylor Swift, you can't be doing Speak Now, Red Behaviors forever because it just becomes too big and too overwhelming. But she said, you know what? Let me give the girls a little treat. And yum, 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 yum. Thank you.
Those of us who got it the first time.
It was delicious. It's so umami, the flavor. Yum, 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 yum.
We loved
like
it.
To eat
it. Well, my number 5 album was Evermore. And that actually surprised me because I wouldn't, like when I think about what Taylor Swift albums are most important to me, what are my favorite ones to listen to, I would never say Evermore, but I went to my Last FM and it told me the truth. It told me the truth that it is my most spun recent Taylor album after Torture Poets.
Wake it up.
I'm tuning in. I am tuning in.
I love to hear this.
when I tried to think about like what is it about Evermore that puts it in the top 5 for me, I think it's because I view it as so much more experimental than folklore, and I think it's like way more of a exercise in free association, kind of like with Tortured Poets, where you just let it rip and you see what comes out, and then you kind of sift through what's there. And I think my hesitation to include it would be that it's not front to back for me. Evermore is not a front to back record. It has one of my most hated Taylor Swift songs of all time, so much so that I have blocked it on Spotify. Dorothea. I'm just not entertaining it. It's not for me. It's none of my business. I don't want to hear it at all. But even a song like Happiness has started to click with me over the years. Like there are a couple of the ones that I needed to like let marinate, let cook. Champagne Problems is never going to get there. I think that the Evermore set really helped me. Like Marjorie became so much more important to me after I had the Eras tour. But the songs on Evermore that just are so, to me, like the most delicious Taylor songs ever, 'Tis the Damn Season. Okay. I got it the first time. It's Haylor coded and I don't care what anyone has to say. Okay. Right Where You Left Me. Now, when that dropped, I was diva up when Right Where You Left Me came out. Why the hell it's a bonus track and not on the actual standard edition of the album? We don't know. Ivy and Cowboy Like Me. Those songs are so beautiful. And to me, Cowboy Like Me specifically is the best example of Taylor writing a fictional story. Like that is the most gorgeous, from the way it opens with this bizarre line that just immediately situates you in exactly her perspective, from the vaguely country western element that she brings back to it. It reminded me a lot of like, oh, okay, you are a skilled writer. You don't just do one thing, because folklore kind of was one thing. It did a specific kind of thing. Evermore is in different areas.
Well, you know, I always love to hear the folklore lashings. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to lash folklore. Is folklore on your list, just for my own edification?
No. Is it on yours? I see it in most people's top 2. Folklore is like the album to a lot of people, but I have to say, like, I'm compared to Evermore, Folklore is kind of boring. Although Illicit Affairs, one of the best songs ever created, belongs on Evermore.
Well, everybody knows there's great songs on Folklore, you know, but it's sometimes, I think, overrated. And I also think that Taylor shows clear favoritism towards Folklore, and I think we need to wake the case up. Because let me put this on you, Evermore is my number 2.
There you go.
Do you hear that?
2?
That is my number 2, ladies and gentlemen. I love Evermore. Seriously, one of my most favorite Taylor albums of all time. I can remember the first time that I pressed play on Willow like it was yesterday. That's when I knew we were getting something different. That's when I knew we were getting something else. I think Evermore is the coziest Taylor album. It makes me feel warm and cuddled up in my blanket. I love that. It's the witchiest Taylor album. She's really letting her freak flag fly. She's letting loose. She was less edited, I think, on Evermore, to build off of a point that you had made. It's a lot more like free flowing and so much more loose. Like in Folklore, there's almost like a tightness to it because she's like, I don't really know what this is. And she's kind of figuring it out. But on Evermore, she's like, okay, I know I can do this. So it just feels so much more like laid back, and everything feels like it's been done with ease, like Gold Rush. Like you can tell that was written in like 15 minutes because it's, and just the production
on Evermore is so much more intricate and rich and diverse than Folklore. I mean, even a song like Closure, what the hell is that doing on Evermore? But it belongs.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that the Evermore set is, and will always be my favorite set on the Eras tour. I loved that set so much. I loved the theming. I loved the outfits. I loved the set list. Even 'Tis the Damn Season, that was a moment that I stay to this day. If you didn't get to see it, I'm so sorry.
One of the best moments on the tour.
Oh, it really was so
and
good.
It gagged us when we heard it the first time because neither of us was expecting it to be that good. And I remember specifically turning to MADELINE and going, this is crazy.
They did something else in this live stage, like the band. I was like, I feel like I'm at Christmas time right now. She took me there. It was so hot too in the crowd. It was so hot, and yet in that moment, I felt a burst of ice cold winter snow air as the Evermore set began. Also, Tolerate It. I don't see it ever getting the respect for one of the top 3 track 5s, and nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to talk about All Too Well. Not me. I want to talk about Tolerate It, one of the greatest songs ever made. and the case
let's
hasn't been
crack this
opened.
case open. Everybody wants to say would've, could've, should've, best retrospective Taylor song about that situation. Why don't we look at Tolerated instead? Would've, could've, should've is the diva. I don't want to take anything away from her, but would've, could've, should've is like definitely a meditation and in the middle of the night reflection. Tolerated is like her putting herself back in the moment and reporting what she is feeling specifically, and it is crushing.
It's haunting. Seriously, one of the most haunting songs she's ever written. It's the kind of song that, like, I just don't think there's another Taylor song like it, if I can be totally honest with you. It stands alone. It's totally unique. Nothing feels like that. It feels so bad. When you're listening to it, you're like, this is hell, but it's so good. On the all 3 times that I got to see it live when it was still on the set, I had a moment unlike any other. I was releasing demons, and you can hear it in my videos. The way that I was screaming, I need to go back. Why did she take it away from us?
Front row for Tolerate It was crazy because I had seats kind of at the end of the diamond, I guess, like on the extreme side of it on one of the nights for Singapore, front row. And I just had a clear shot. She was facing towards me, like her seat was looking at me during Tolerate It. And I had the most gorgeous, wonderful experience watching that happen up close. And the people around weren't cheering. They weren't.
No, of course they weren't, because they didn't get it. That's why I got taken off the set list, because you are too busy cheering for Champagne Problems. And I'll say it, one of the weaker songs on Evermore. What are you gonna do?
Absolutely. What are you gonna do now? Champagne Problems is up there as one of the most overrated songs in Taylor Swift's catalog. Period.
No, anybody really. The bridge is great. Like I'll give you guys that, but it's like the bridge does not make the whole song, and the bridge of Tolerated is better. I just said it. Now what?
Throw it out there.
Now what? I think that Evermore also has like several career highs for Taylor. Several career highs. Easy. Right where you left me, easy career high.
Oh my God.
Does it get paid its flowers? No.
If I had to pick a song to describe the Taylor's version project, I'm picking Right Where You Left Me.
Oh yeah. Let's wake the case up.
Even random songs like It's Time to Go have these completely like stop you in your track lyrical moments. He's got my past frozen behind glass, but I've got me.
And we're just supposed to walk away from that and act like that's normal.
That can bring a tear to my eye at any day. Like I will listen to the whole song just to have the catharsis of that moment. It is so important and integral. And I feel like Folklore and Evermore did that for Taylor. But Evermore particularly because Folklore was a success and she wasn't expecting it. And there was kind of a bit more of a commercial expectation. Evermore was really, to me, like, she was like, I couldn't stop. It kept pouring out of me. And I wanted to share what kept coming with you. And I feel like it's just, this is the moment where she realized, I've got it. I can do this. I can take chances. I can bet on myself and people will still be interested because I've got me.
Exactly. I've got me. And I really feel like, we needed Folklore. Of course, we needed Folklore. She needed Folklore. But there's something to be said about Evermore. I think she is just as important as Folklore. And I don't really see that feeling echoed in the fandom a lot. But I think that there's like... I also admit that Evermore is not front to back. My skips, I do usually skip It's Time to Go because I don't like it productionally. Lyrically, yes, but productionally I find it annoying. Closure, only on the right day. Only on the right day.
It's gotta be the right day. I mean, I'm skipping Champagne Problems. I've heard it too many damn times. I'll let No Body, No Crime play. Coney Island
Is a skip. I do like the lyrics, like I'll say that. I do think it's hot nonsense, but whatever. Also, long story short, take it or leave it, sisters.
She was lying to herself.
Yeah.
She wasn't telling the truth.
She wasn't telling the truth, but that's okay.
She was telling the truth.
I cheered. I love Evermore.
We support women's rights.
Evermore the song is one that I had to let cook, but
really?
It's fully clicked in the last couple of years.
It really clicked for me, especially when she did the Clean and Evermore mashup in Singapore. I was like, no, this makes sense.
Now this is starting to percolate in my brain. Yeah, so Evermore, my number 2, one of my favorite Taylor albums of all time. Even just the cover. Sometimes I think about the cover and like look at it, and I just feel like I'm going home.
Covers.
I'm
Way
going
better
home.
Than Folklore's.
Oh, so much better than Folklore's. It's crazy. It's crazy, and it's such a good. I've seen so many people with that tattoo, with the Evermore album cover tattoo. It's just like you instantly know what it's referring to. And you're like, Evermore.
And it's, as we all know, rare for Taylor Swift to have an iconic album cover.
Right.
Rare.
And it's so throwaway.
Rare dunk for her.
It's such a, it seemed like she just kind of like randomly picked it, but that's that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it.
Everything. Thank you, Evermore. What is your number 4 album?
What is my number 4? I have to go back. What is my number 4?
Well,
I have
mine was Tortured Poets, and we already talked about that. So I had Evermore and Tortured Poets.
Okay. Now I remember. Okay, my number 4, I said Fearless.
Oh!
It's Fearless!
Oh, damn. I really wanted to put Fearless in. I'm glad we can talk about it because she didn't make it for me. She didn't make it.
Here's my thing about Fearless is that, and we were just talking about this the other night, I feel like, yes, Debut is the blueprint. Debut is literally the debut. It's literally her first album. But to me, Fearless is the blueprint. And as much as I love Debut, there's some like career highs on, well, I shouldn't say career highs, but career
high.
Yes,
cleared.
Our song, Tim McGraw, Teardrops on My Guitar. Let's leave it at that. Should have said
Don't
no.
You dare.
I could keep going.
Don't even think about it.
As much as I love Debut, the Fearless era felt so much more magical and personal. And I just remember that's the one that I feel like this is my girlhood album. And I remember loving that album with a passion unlike anything else before in my life at that point. I was 15. So you can imagine I was latching on to that like I had imprinted on a duck. I was obsessed with it. Fearless is when I became a stan because I loved Debut, but it was just kind of like an album that I really liked. And I wasn't really connecting with her on a level yet. When Love Story came out, I knew that this was my person and she was meant to be in my life. Seriously, it sounds like I'm messing around,
really
but it changed everything. No, it changed everything for me. I was like, okay, this is literally my personality is being created. My personality was created by Fearless. Seriously, I morphed into a whole new different person. It's nostalgic. It's youthful. It reminds me of like my girlhood in a good way. I just love it. I love it.
I had Fearless in neck and neck with Evermore, and now I'm wishing I picked Fearless because same thing. I mean, this is so clearly associated with my childhood, but most importantly, I play this album all the time. Like for a while, there was a period of time where I was like, I'm not listening to Fearless that much. But lately, I think it's because the Taylor's version honestly is so good. I love to listen to some of those re-recordings. So I am listening to Fearless title track once a week, at least. That song puts me in a mood. It lifts me up. It brings me a smile. It's my Who Says by Selena Gomez moment from Taylor Swift. Like if I need to be in a storm in my best dress, Fearless, that's what I turn on. And this live at the Eras Tour was one of the most emotional moments for me of the entire show. It was just such an uplifting moment. It shocked me how many people didn't know it. It really shocked me and silenced me. The girl behind us in a Speak Now dress didn't know the words to Fearless. I was like, what the hell are you doing?
Do you remember that video that we were obsessed with from the early days of the Eras Tour of the girl in like her Shein sparkly gown, like vibing to the camera, heart
and it's
up.
Fearless, the song.
It's like
she's turning around.
I'm
doesn't
not
know
making
a word.
content during Fearless, the song. I am locked in with tears streaming down my face.
And
it's
a crime every day. It's a crime she didn't do the whole song.
Oh, it is. And it's like, you had time to do... Did she do all of You Belong With Me? She did, didn't she?
Yeah.
But
we couldn't get Capture It, Remember It. We needed
Capture It, Remember It. Because I was capturing it and I was remembering it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was doing.
Exactly.
And one of the best bridges of her career.
Oh my gosh, and so good. And you're so right about how it's one of Taylor's like happiest songs. It immediately will put you in it's sunshine. I have the windows down. I'm driving around. I'm ready to face whatever the world has to throw at me. It's such a good like pumping yourself up song. Like I can do anything. That's the way it makes me feel.
Also so core to who she is as a person because she is, as she always tries to say, even when she's really down, hopeful about love. She is a hopeful romantic, fearless. Not a hopeless romantic. She is always hoping that things will work out for the best and trying to go into it with a headfirst fearless mentality. And that's exactly what this album is about. The trials and tribulations of being headfirst fearless.
And I cheered. And I cheered the entire time. And I'm still cheering. I love it.
Cheering. I really wish that I put it in. Now I really regret that. This always happens.
Well, you got
this always happens.
Well, come on. It is, even if it's not, it is. That's the thing about Fearless.
Exactly. They all
That's how
are.
I feel about it. Even if like there are times where I'm not really streaming it either, and I'm like, you know what? I feel like nostalgia's winning, and that's the only reason I'm putting it in, so I don't put it in. But
Then
even
I
when
put
it's
Fearless
not,
on.
it is spiritually. Spiritually, it's
Period.
always at least in my
those
top
songs
5.
were so like all of those songs are legit hugs to me. Not all Taylor albums have that. I have a fondness for all of the albums, a different relationship with all of them. But like if I'm down bad, I'm reaching for Fearless the song. I'm reaching for Forever and Always. I'm going to Tell Me Why. Like this entire record is just so painted on the back of my eyelids. Like I listened to it in the car with my dad growing up. Like there are so many key core memories I have attached to it that it brings me back to my childhood, and I love it. We have to love it for that.
I have these like weird deranged memories of how I would write down the lyrics to Fearless, the songs from Fearless, and I would write them on notebook paper and then I would hang them on my wall. Me handwriting the lyrics.
You were manifesting.
And put it there, and I would just stare at them and be like, wow, it says
You wake up in the morning and you look to your right. You don't have to call anymore. I won't pick up the phone. Exactly.
I know exactly
That's what I needed to
what
see
you mean
today.
And it made me feel so much better. That's what I always
I
think
feel really bad for people that didn't grow up with Fearless. Like I actually do, because it's such a core moment.
Yeah, it's like
I
what
think meeting this album when Taylor was already the diva, you are not going to have a grasp on it if it wasn't there in her own girlhood. Like I hate to be like you had to be there, but you kind of did.
Well, I always wonder, like, with people who are my age who weren't into Taylor at the time, like, what were you listening to? Like, what was your nostalgia album? Like, what was your album that made you feel okay? That
I know it wasn't The Fame by Lady Gaga.
That reached out and touched your hand.
Maybe it was.
Reach out? Maybe it was.
Maybe The Fame reached
out
and touched
maybe it was.
Hand.
Maybe it was Ariana. I don't even.
Was
Ariana
it
wasn't
you to
even
bed at night. Was it tucking you in? Was it telling you a story? Was it giving you a warm glass of milk?
Yeah.
I don't think Just Dance was doing that.
No, and you know what? There's something to be said how Taylor was doing something so specific and unique at the time. Now, of course, it's dime a dozen. You turn on the radio, ooh, that's so true, etc.
To be 15 and to
like
receive 15 in real time was something else.
Yeah, I was 15 at the Fearless tour.
Wow.
With her doing 15.
That's goals.
It's like a core memory. But what I remember the most is that she came down and did it on the B stage. That was her first B stage on her first headlining tour. And there were girls who were running from my section. We were in, I think, the 100s or the 200s. So she was close, but not close enough. So these girls were running to try and get closer. And I'm like, what is that going to do?
You should have been there with them. Getting closer.
No, I stayed in my spot because I didn't want security to get me in trouble and to ruin my moment.
To be thrown out of a Taylor Swift concert? No.
Yeah.
No. So not worth it.
Yeah, I follow the rules, and I usually
see a lot
of
the new Swifties rate Fearless very low, and that to me says you weren't there.
You weren't there. You're never going to get it if you weren't there, because the thing is, it's a product of its time, and it's a product of being being a true girly. And some people don't have that gene. You notice that?
Yeah.
You notice
Many
that?
such cases.
Many such cases.
All right, number 3. My number 3 is 1989.
And I'm clapping and I'm cheering for that. And I'm clapping and I'm cheering.
Yep. Did 1989 make it onto your list at all?
No, but it almost did. I really was considering it because I'm going to tell you something. The streamability of that album is crazy.
Weddings, graduations, funerals.
Exactly.
January through December.
Yeah. It's never ending.
It is a bulletproof
pop
album delivered at the exact right time when we needed to be having a bulletproof pop album from Taylor. It builds on all of the groundwork that she did on Red. It was such a leap. It was so brave. And I think that it was so expertly curated. Like when you look at the vault songs and you see what made it onto the standard track list, I kind of agree with every single decision that she made. Like she was in her curatorial bag while making this album. The visuals, it is her most front to back visual like campaign and collection of all the albums, the best series of music videos. I'd say the album cover is really iconic. Taylor's version, completely botched and bungled, which is a crime against humanity, which brings it down in my eye just ever so slightly because it is so bad. But this album, to me personally, I turned 18 when this album came out. I was graduating high school and moving to New York. So this was like the album for me. I had just gotten into my college. I did early decision to where I was going to college. And 2 days later, I think Welcome to New York came out. And I was like, this is everything. This is meant to be. It was in my eardrums when I landed in New York City for the first time. It was a crucial developmental block in my life. And it also happened to be the time where Taylor felt more accessible and closer to us than ever before. And I was in my delusional era. So there was nothing that was going to stop me from getting to Taylor at this point. I was going to meet her again and it was going to happen. And I just remember I was in my, like, I moved to New York from Singapore when I was 18 years old with no family. That was an insane thing to do. In theory, it was like very scary. Would I take a risk like that now at the age of 28, like knowing how life goes? Probably not. But Taylor Swift made me feel like it was okay and it would be safe and it would be fun and exciting. And when I met her on the 1989 tour and I told her I was moving to New York in just a month or two, I was starting to get nervous. And she said to me, "You're going to have the best time ever. You're going to be surrounded by the most creative people. It's going to be so inspiring." And I was like, oh my God, you're right. It just kind of made me sit up and go, I can be a participant in my own life. There's a big life out there for me. And I just need to be the diva. I need to lose myself. I need to lose him and find myself. And somehow that is everything.
Well, from the girl who said she'd never cut her hair and never moved to New York, she said, let me tell you something. You can cut your hair and you can move to New York. Let me tell you something. And I feel like also, like, again, not to like poo-poo on the new fans, there is something to be said of like being that age. I was 21 when 1989 came out.
You were at the
21.
bars.
And remember, for 1989 on the release date, I accidentally got really drunk on release night because I was drinking rum and cokes like a psychopath. But that's what you do when you're 21. New York
Snares attendees, you're going to hear more about this.
Yeah. You don't know how to drink yet, so you start making a fool of yourself. I got really, really wasted, and that's just part of the 1989 experience. You know, you have a few too many drinks, and you go to the right bar, you go to the wrong bar. You're all over the place. We cry
tears of mascara in the bathroom. Honey, life is just a classroom.
And it was
so true.
It was so true.
This was like when she, instead of becoming my like big sister that I needed a hug from, this was my big sister that I needed a pep talk from. Like I needed her to tell me to like get my ass up and put your cute outfit on and go out there and act as though the world is yours until it becomes so.
I feel that way too. And I feel like it's such an interesting leap. Red to 1989 is so fascinating, like to think about it in hindsight, because Red was such like, it was like a womanhood album, but at the same time, it still had those elements that it still felt like, okay, this is Taylor. Do you know what I mean? And for Taylor to like really come out and be like, this is going to be a complete shift in everything. I'm shifting my look. I'm going to start showing my midriff. I'm gonna start going out in New York City. Allegedly. I'm gonna start, going to the club. I'm gonna start acting like an actual grown adult woman and kind of like free myself just the slightest little bit from these shackles of eternal girlhood and start living my life a little bit. That was crazy. But I remember being so happy.
It felt like such a natural evolution. And I think we were a little nervous. I remember when this came, when we all got news of Shake It Off before it came out. So we heard the two most possible worst things. We heard that there was going to be a lyric called Player's Gonna Play, and we heard there were going to be horns. And please just imagine, after hearing Red, that you get that information. At this time, we were still delusionally being like, the rock album is coming. This is when the rock album is coming. We're going to hear it. Instead, we have this. And as soon as I heard Shake It Off, I was like, yes. I was like, this is it. Like it's over. We're done. This is the best song ever made. The live chat also really solidified it for me. That was really Tae Kim Jong-un. That was Tae North Korea. That was her saying, this is the world. And now you are living in it and you are going to like it. And I said,
I don't remember what I thought about Shake It Off at first. I remember what I thought about the information.
I remember what you thought about the information
too. Contextless information. I do remember that.
You said it's going to be okay. The whole album is not going to be like this. And she actually said that. And a really important thing that she said during the live chat was, just because you want to write fun pop songs doesn't mean you can't write a smart pop song. And I think at that point in my life, I had never thought about it like that. And that was a huge hang up that all the fans had about her doing songs like We Are Never, was like, well, where are the good substantive songs going to go? And it's like 1989 doesn't have an All Too Well. It doesn't have a Better Man. It doesn't have an I Almost Do. It has a bunch of bulletproof songs, but those really tightly controlled and well-told stories still have a lot of value and meaning in them. Like I Wish You Would and All You Had to Do Was Stay, really underrated for the lessons that they're imparting and the experience that she's describing.
Well, I also think she never really gets enough credit for like being able to shift into that kind of songwriting almost seamlessly. It's
And
not
for it to
easy.
feel
Some
so
people
natural.
cannot do that.
They
Some people
try.
cannot do that, dude. Cannot go from I'm gonna write an All Too Well or a Dear John or anything of that ilk, even like an Enchanted, and then go right into I'm gonna write blank space. Some people
Well,
couldn't
most
do
people
it.
can't do the first part. Most people can't do a Dear John or an All Too Well to begin
Say
with. Now
that.
that's the issue.
No,
That's
that's
the
the
problem.
problem. No, that's the
And then they
problem.
try to do a 1989. And it's like Taylor's relationship to pop is so interesting because she is such a student of it. And she also did it in specifically her own way.
Mm-hmm. It's very Taylor. There's never going to be an album like 1989. Nobody could do it.
When a song like How Bad Do You Want Me comes out and everyone immediately goes, 1989, Taylor, you're back. That shows you that 1989 was its own thing. It wasn't trend chasing. It wasn't following anything that was on the radio at the time. It was Taylor being like, and this was before, pop music became really about nostalgia and references. She was like, I want to go kind of like as an overarching idea back to the 80s when these pop songs were really big and really full of life and really expressive, because at that period of time pop had become so depersonalized. Like we were really in the era of like, put your hands in the air, California girls. Like it wasn't a time when we were thinking while we were listening to our pop songs. And like Blank Space, you were thinking. That went
you were
number one because you went gag.
You went, oh, she's making some really good points. I think Blank Space really cured a lot of people's internalized misogyny. I really do believe it. They said, you know what? She's kind of making some points.
And this is where Taylor started to clear her own internalized misogyny. This was the album cycle where she didn't apologize, but said she regretted Better Than Revenge.
She said, listen, I wouldn't do it today. Does it rock? Well, yeah.
But I'm not sorry.
But you know
Most
what?
Most importantly, I ain't sorry.
She said, you know what? I'm going to girl boss and maybe you'll get something out of that. Maybe you'll get a little bit of inspiration to be a girl boss too. And I did.
And that's why 1989 is my number 3.
I love it. 1989 almost made it onto mine. Like I said, I just listened to it quite a bit. I listened to it a lot. And I think it's really interesting. I've heard some people say that it's outdated. And it sounds dated.
Okay, be quiet. Then why was 1989 Taylor's version one of the most successful albums of the year? Why did Is It Over Now go number 1? 1989, the blueprint, the footprints of 1989 are all over modern pop.
And I think we should open the case because I remember people saying Taylor doesn't have a specific sound. Then explain to me why How Bad Do You Want Me was so immediately clocked. Everybody clocked it.
Explain, because we haven't heard something like that in a while. Now have we?
And I remember there was really nothing like it at the time. And I still think listening to it, what is an album that's like that? It doesn't exist.
There isn't one. It's its own thing. And this is why everyone, like when you think of a pop album, you think of 1989. This is why everyone's dying, begging, pleading for her to do this again. But it's not possible. And it shouldn't be, because this is perfect. She's never going to make a better 1989 than 1989.
And it shouldn't be. I like the 1989 that I got. I even more liked getting the vault tracks. That's the closest we're ever going to get to 1989 too. Okay, enjoy your vault tracks, eat your food, and that's enough. Because it's never going to happen again.
Also, just like a perfectly executed album campaign, completely flawless from start to finish. The messaging was on point. She was everywhere. She was changing things up, but she was doing her I'll never change, but I'll never stay the same.
Also, it really can't be stressed how many people bought this album. I remember it was still selling
100 times to get all the Polaroids. That was still the best deluxe Taylor album, I think. The Polaroid packs were iconic.
And I really want some information on why the Polaroid packs for 1989 TV were such garbage.
I know why.
Garbaggio.
Money please.
Money please. Like
money please.
The original 1989 Polaroids are thick cardstock. They really kind of feel like, they're obviously not, but they feel like real Polaroids.
They're also like lithographs almost. They're like sticky.
Yeah. Those ones, they're literally like paper. I was like, oh! When I opened them up, I was disgusted, darling. To jail now.
What's your number 3, Madeline?
So my number 3, what was my number 3? Oh, I'm ready to gag the girls.
All right, let's do it.
I'm ready to gag the girls. So my number 3, Reputation.
Oh my God.
They weren't
I'm
expecting
gagged
it.
by this.
They weren't expecting it.
Wow.
They weren't expecting it.
This is interesting. Madeline, please spit. Now, for context, I was expecting Reputation #1.
Well, you know, it has been my number one album for a very long time. Pretty much since, not since it first came out, but since maybe the year after it came out, I have been Reputation stan. Certainly after Lover, I said Reputation cleared, Reputation owned it, etc., etc. Reputation is that girl. But you know what? The years have gone on. I think I was really attached to it at the time because it was really speaking to me at the time. And I think that I knew then, and I still know now, and I've known for a long time, there's never ever going to be another Taylor album like it. It is completely unique, and it's never going to be replicated. She has no interest in doing it again. It was something that it came out of its era, came out of a specific time in her life and a specific emotion that she does not want to return to. So we're never going to see it again. And it always made it feel, and still does, makes it feel so special to me. And like it's just going to be a standout Taylor album for all time. But I think that it's always going to be in my top 5. Like, it probably will always be in my top 3 as well. But I guess I just realized that as time goes on, I'm just not as attached to it as I used to be. I think I've kind of like not grown out of it.
Well, you're not in your Reputation era.
No. I was for a time. When it first came out, of course.
Let's be honest, guys. The Reputation era can't go on forever. You'll die.
And the thing is, the Reputation era, the era itself. Okay, best tour. I loved the Reputation tour. I loved so many of the outfits. I love so many of the looks. I absolutely love the album. It's like one of those albums that can always make me feel better. It reminds me of like one of the best times in my life, etc., etc. But the era itself. I mean, there's just not much there.
She was Tay Invisible.
You know, she was Tay Invisible, and she was busy, running off to Wicklow and doing this, that, and the other thing. And I support her 100%. I support her 100%. She doesn't need to be in my face all the time, and I think it's great that she had the Reputation era, and I totally get why it was that way. But as an era, it has some really specific imagery, but it only has like a handful of really specific images that you can conjure up that are related to it. So I just kind of felt like I don't stream it as much as I stream other things. I still love it, but I did bump it down to number 3, which by the way, number 3 out of 11 is still pretty good. I would like to say,
hell yeah.
I just kind of thought I had to defend why I kind of bumped it down after so many years of it being my number 1. I still absolutely love it. And it's important to note, it is like inextricably linked to the Mason and Madeline love story. It is woven into the fabrics of the start of our relationship. So that's just the way it's going to be. It's still Mason's favorite album. I'll tell you that for free. But that's because, I mean, tasteful. It's called taste.
Reputation is an interesting one for me because it almost never cracks my top 5, which is interesting because you would think that this would be the one where I'm like, Secret Session, like I have strong, fond attachments to it. But there is something about Reputation. I really love it. And I think I agree with you. It's experimental. It's one of a kind. But I think the arm's lengthness of Taylor at that period of time, like it felt like she was undergoing a really big personal shift, and she was completely renegotiating her relationship to the public eye and to her fans after 1989. And like I totally understand why she did that, but I do think it's definitely kind of a marking point in her discography as well. Like everything was really different after that. So I think I hold some of that. And then there are songs on Reputation that I just don't listen to. Like I don't listen to Don't Blame Me. I don't care for Job. Not really interested in that.
You just said I don't care for Job. I love it.
I have never even seen the show, and I picked that up from Madeline. So thank you. But I do obviously this song also has one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs of all time, which is Dress. So it has highs, it has lows. It doesn't have that many lows. Like I would say it's more front to back than an album like Evermore, which actually made it onto the list. But I think it's not a 24K plated Taylor Swift album. Like the writing is a little bit different. She's not singing as much on this record either. So I love it. I appreciate it. But yeah, not my top 5.
Here are my kind of like, these are the Reputation songs. Ready for it. Let's open the case. I Did Something Bad. Period. Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. To me, also, So It Goes. They hate me for saying it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you. I love That's one of my top 5 on Reputation.
One of my all-time favorite Taylor songs. Seriously, I love that song. Getaway Car, Dress.
And then I'm period. Then I'm kind of like, that's it. That like everything else, great, but those would be my essentials personally.
Now my personal songs, Endgame. I love Endgame. I'm one of the only people on earth who does, and I'm saying it loud and I'm saying it proud. Endgame. I wanna be your endgame.
You can have it. Really,
And
you can have it. I
thank
love
you.
that
More for me. More
exactly.
for me. What's another one that I like that not everybody else likes?
This is why we can't have nice things.
Oh, yes. How can I forget? Everybody hates that song. Not me. I love it. That was my surprise song in Seattle. She did it for me.
I just don't listen to it.
It's definitely one of the ones that I would say has aged, but it feels really good when you're pissed off to turn it on.
Here's to my mama had to listen to this drop that part.
Oh, it's so good.
Forever.
It's so good. She cooked on that like never before. Jack, mouth kiss. I think you get
mouth
one.
Kiss.
I love that song.
And that was one of the subjects where we needed to stop cooking.
The songs that I don't like on Reputation, New Year's Day and Gorgeous. Gorgeous I will never like. Stop trying to make Gorgeous happen. It's never going to happen.
I like Gorgeous. I like
You're
Gorgeous.
So gorgeous.
Can't say any. I love it.
Ooh.
Queenie.
I'm surprised it wasn't on the Eras Tour set list. I'll be honest with you.
Really?
I know she loved it, so she must have. really
sorry,
been
we forgot
like...
to put "Delicate" in the essential Reputation songs. Yeah. And it's there. It's there. Trust me, we can't move on without saying that. It's there.
It's there.
And for a while, that was the only real hit from
Reputation. The same for the best. I love the vocoder in that song so much.
She does a little Tay British on that, just a little.
She does. Well, I mean, come on, chances. You didn't take chances.
She was heading into that period of her life where she was in London.
And I like it.
All right, number 2. Now, this was an interesting exercise. My number 2 is Speak Now. Speak Now is very close to surpassing Red as my favorite Taylor Swift album of all time. It's not quite there. I think it's more front to back than Red, which is probably why I'm leaning towards that inclination. But it unlocks a very special connection that I have to my younger self. I feel a lot more connected. Like, I feel so connected to Fearless, but Speak Now is like, she's my mother. She raised me. I am Speak Now. The Speak Now tour was the first time I ever got to see Taylor. It was also when I joined the online fandom. So there's a lot of like foundational stuff associated with it. And I also think the Taylor's version is incredible. Out of all the re-recordings, it's one of my favorite ones. And I was so happy to see it getting acknowledged at all again after years of it getting overlooked on set lists and in cultural conversations. Like, Speak Now has always been the stepsister, the afterthought. Like, you think Evermore's forgotten? Speak Now is the one that's been disrespected and spat on time and time again. So even just getting the prelogue that Taylor wrote for Speak Now, that meant everything to me, because I was like, she remembers it. She's acknowledging what it did for her. And I was so mad when we just got Enchanted on the Eras tour. I was like, this is just, it's disrespectful. And I think it's no surprise to everyone that my favorite Taylor albums are the most writerly ones, with one exception, of course, 1989, I guess. Speak Now is very dynamic and varied, especially when you compare it to Fearless, which was very much like one or two kinds of amazing things. But the genre diversity on Speak Now is actually crazy. And the 3-album run from Speak Now to Red to 1989 is an insane period of growth and sonic representation. That was 4 years. That was 4 years of an insane trajectory. And I would argue that everything her career has become can be found on those 3 albums to begin with: Speak Now, Red, and 1989. This was really like an artistic and a creative challenge. It was so bold and so daring for her to do this on her own with basically one producer, to eschew the formula that worked with Fearless. Fearless and 1989 are actually kind of similar in the sense that they are really ruthless in their pursuit of the perfect song structure. Fearless was just focused on country pop, whereas 1989 was pop. And I feel like these are stories that are easily understood and very powerfully delivered, like an adrenaline shot. But Speak Now is like a painkiller. It takes a while to settle in, but when it does, oh girls, it's hitting you in all the right places. And I think she takes much bigger risks on Speak Now than almost any of her other albums, because who was Taylor Swift when she wrote this by herself? According to some, she was a flash in the pan. She was a schemer and a scammer who was better at marketing than she was at the actual work. And Taylor, I think a lot of the times, leans more into the marketing than the work, which is not necessarily bad, because I think she's equally good at those two things. But this album was a sacrifice of the commercial and the marketing in order to pursue the artistic. And I think that is what I respect so much about it. No radio hits to be found. And I always return to this when anyone questions her writing, because you literally cannot take this away from her.
No. And it's crazy to me that she doesn't acknowledge it more, considering what it represents in terms of her as a writer. She's never done it since. Nobody has ever done it since. Can we open this case? All of these girls that we talk about now being the writer girls, where's their completely solo written record?
Solo co-write. Solo co-write. Not co-written.
Solo. Now, my tea is, this is my number one.
I agree.
My number one, baby. So I chose Speak Now. Speak Now was my original number one. From the day it came out, I said, this is my favorite Taylor album of all time. Until Reputation, and then it kind of overtook for a while. I think that there's something kind of poetic about coming full circle and like, okay, returning to the album that I loved when I was younger and being like, this still kind of is the greatest album of all time. What I love about Speak Now the most is I love its romanticism. I love its dynamic, how dynamic it is and how different, and how there's a Speak Now song for every situation. You can't always say that about every single one of Taylor's albums, especially Reputation. Reputation, you really have to be in the mood for it. I think the same about Folklore and Evermore as well, but like Speak Now is weddings, graduations, funerals. There's a song for everything. There's even a song.
I can be down. I can be in the gutter.
She went Evanescence on Speak Now. That's so crazy.
I'm angry.
She's
never
angry.
Done anything like that again.
No,
Haunted is a crazy song.
Yeah,
for her,
it's crazy. And I love that song. And it's one of the most overlooked songs in the discography, like many other Speak Now songs, mind you. Mean, overlooked. One of her sassiest, cattiest songs of all time. Better Than Revenge.
No I Bet You Think About Me without Mean.
She was cooking at such a level that is like unlike anything I had heard at that point.
A song like Mine to be your lead single from your follow-up album to Fearless, like the pressure of following up Fearless as well with something like Speak Now, and the way she managed to spin it not as a commercial failure, because at the time, compared to Fearless, it was a commercial failure. It didn't yield any really big hits. I don't know if it got any country number ones. It probably did. But in terms of the Hot 100, like Mine was not a charting single. The only, like Sparks Fly didn't do that well. Back to December, everyone was like, whatever. But she committed so fully to that era, and she did some incredible performances of her, like all the Back to December performances I remember specifically were so good. And Mine, I think, is one of the most overlooked songs in her catalog too. Like that is some perfect storytelling, and where it really goes crazy is into that last chorus. That's when I'm like, okay, Tay arranger, because she also arranged and like co-executive produced, I think, or something. She was a lot more involved in the production of this record than she had been before, and because she just had the one collaborator, it was basically like two people just bouncing off each other cooking the entire time. And yeah, Mine goes crazy is basically what I want to say.
Mine goes crazy. Back to December, also vastly overlooked. It was one of my favorite Taylor songs for the longest time. I love the melody in the chorus of that song. It's so satisfying to sing it. It was one of me and my friends' favorite songs to sing.
That's one that my mom remembers. Like my mom doesn't listen to Taylor like ever, basically, but like when it comes on, she will be like, "Oh, she'll text me, be like, Back to December came on." I'm like, okay, why?
She loves that song,
but that's the one she remembers. Loves it.
Also, I think that Speak Now had some of the best. Everybody knows when you're wearing purple what you're referencing. Everybody knows.
It's time to drop everything now.
It's time to drop everything now.
To me, that's the best tour.
Best tour. Seriously, the best tour. I love everything about the Speak Now tour. The tree on the B stage, the ukulele, the Dear John, the dresses, the ponytails.
The way the stage was wooden and the lights were in the shape of little seashells with a 13 on the back. The lights, the stage lights.
The stage lights. No, and they're not doing it like this
detail,
today.
The world making. Like I legit felt like Speak Now was a world that I could escape into when the real world was very intolerable. Like it was a whole real other place that existed in my mind. And I still feel like that when I listen to it. A song like Enchanted can immediately pull me back to that place.
Well, speaking of, if we want to talk Volt tracks, Foolish One is one of those Volt tracks that made me feel like, oh my God, it is 2010 and I'm 17 years old and everything's going to be okay. Yep. That's how it makes me feel when I listen to it. It's one of the few Volt tracks that can do it. It's the best
example of the Volt tracks.
Yeah.
And you know what? That one is really overlooked too.
It's so good. The writing, everything about it is just so good. I almost don't even understand why it wasn't a bonus track in place of Superman. I don't get it.
It's way better than Superman.
It's way better than Superman.
Better. The only thing I'll say is that it kind of, I don't know. I guess maybe it has more of a fearless lyrical element to it. Like it feels compared to the adult content that's on Speak Now, I guess it could feel a little juvenile, but I'm not saying that.
No, I'm
I
not
can
saying it
understand
either.
why, but that's
I'm
not
not
my
saying
reality.
it. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it. I also love a lot of the delusions on Speak Now. The delusions of a young girl. I appreciate it. Because
seeing someone one time and writing a song like Enchanted, that's the experience of being a certain kind of delusional, crazy, and not everyone can say that.
No, and she still put it out, even though she didn't feel the same anymore. She was like, I don't like him, but I do like the song.
This literally is that song is a song for, you know, the girls and gays who fall in love with somebody on the train that you never see again.
Oh yeah. And that's how I felt
with them in your head.
I remember I had on my wall, again, we're going back to my teenage girl wall. I cut out the letters of please don't be in love with someone else. And I hung them up and I surrounded them by string lights. And I thought it was the most romantic, amazing thing I've ever done in my life.
I still think so. And safe and nothing bad ever happened to you.
I've got to wake that up again. Mason would be like, what are you doing? And I'd be like, I'm healing my inner child. You wouldn't get it.
Yeah, you wouldn't get it. Be quiet, Tiffany.
Who's this person that you don't want to be in love with someone else? That's what he would say. I'd be like, don't worry about it.
Him, it's you.
You.
It's you. You better not.
So that's my number one. Speak Now. Swiftie for life.
For you. I'm so curious to hear what your number 2 is. I can't guess it.
It's Evermore. We already talked about that.
We talked about that already. I was like, what the hell? Because I was trying to deduce. When you said Reputation was number 3, I was like, what the hell is your number 2?
What the hell is
but this makes sense.
Imagine
so your
I said,
final
Lover.
ranking, I would be gagged. Or Midnights.
Yeah.
Your official ranking is number 1, Speak Now. Number 2, Evermore. Number 3, Reputation.
Yep.
Number 4, Fearless. Number 5,
Torture Poets Department.
Torture Poets Department.
I think that's a good list. That's really close to yours. There's a couple that you have on yours that I don't have on mine.
Well, Red. Now, come on.
Let's open the case.
We have to open the case up. I am the resident HBIC Red stan. That is the album. So if Speak Now was the album, I guess Speak Now and Red are kind of coded as sisters to me because they came up when I was between the ages of 13 and 15/16. So like that is when I was really forming my most parasocial attachments to many different kinds of music. And it just so happened that Taylor released 2 of her best albums of all time. And that both of those albums were very focused on storytelling. And I think with Red, Taylor gained this momentum and this power after writing Speak Now and proving to herself that she could like accomplish a mammoth task like that, writing this album by herself while still shifting 1 million copies in the first week. Because let's just say, even though it was a relative commercial flop to Fearless, it was still largely outselling all of your faves that were releasing at the time. Let's keep that in there. And she was still playing stadiums on the Speak Now tour. So let's throw that out there. It's kind of miraculous that an album as unradio friendly as that one could move the units. But I think with Red, her marketer brain kicked into overdrive and she thought, how can I do what I did on the best parts of Speak Now, which is telling my stories in a really like writerly and complex way, while also spreading this message as far and as wide as possible. Because obviously Speak Now, like I think as well for the international markets, Taylor's albums had a bit of a limitation because not every international market is interested in country music. In fact, it's gotten a lot more popular in the last 5 years than it did in the 2010s. Like it just wasn't that big of a thing. So if Taylor was going to play on the radio, they weren't going to be playing songs like Mine. They would play like a love story or You Belong With Me, but Mean, not really getting that much attention, you know?
No.
So she was thinking like, how can I spread the message wider? And I remember reading this interview with the Swifts. It was with Scott Swift and Scott Borchetta and Taylor in a trade magazine. So it wasn't like I'm Taylor and this is my story of the album. It was like 4 other people in the music industry. Like, how did you sell this album? What's your plan on packaging it? And their focus was a really intentionally wide-reaching album campaign. They were focusing on the international markets. They were getting into Walgreens and Papa John's and Starbucks, like making Taylor Swift available everywhere all the time. And this was, of course, the beginnings of Robot Barbie as well. We had Taylor linking up with Max Martin and Shellback for the first time and really thinking like, okay, if I want to go far, I have to do pop. How can I figure out a way where pop works for me and I don't have to conform to every trend? And you can hear her experimenting with that in I Knew Your Trouble, We Are Never, and 22, even more so with Message in a Bottle, which thank God was kept in the vault because
They
that
knew.
Message in a Bottle,
Yeah.
we have to all just admit, is a bad song. Like, it's camp,
Message
but it is a bad song.
I love it in the grocery store.
Like,
turn
that
on the
part
grocery
is
store.
really what
I'm picking out my peppers and I'm putting them in a bag.
They love to play it at the grocery store. And I think that Taylor's always at her best when she's trying something new, and doing bubblegum pop was definitely a new realm for her, which is why we are never ever getting back together. I think just was so classically her. It was very Avril Lavigne, actually. People compared it to her a lot when it came out. But the spoken word interlude in the bridge, like, these things became very iconically pop Taylor in the future. So I think, all of the pop origin story starts here. And I think she had always also really wanted to do pop from a young age. She loved her Britney as much as she loved her Shania. And she didn't really know how to parlay the country stuff into this, but everyone was always telling her, you're doing pop, you're doing pop. So she was like, okay, fine. If you're going to tell me that I'm doing pop, let me figure out a way to do it that works with what I'm doing. And Red is like the biggest combination of Taylor's versions existing at the same time. It's the country Taylor and it's the pop Taylor existing simultaneously without detracting from each other. And what its biggest weakness in the eyes of the critics when it came out, and is what I love most of all about it. It's messy, it's imperfect, it's sprawling, it's uncensored. She was just in this like really insane generative place. She had such an incredible heartbreak, and she was so devastated, and she didn't know how to express it. So she tried every conceivable measure. And the breadth of production work here with Jeff Basker on Holy Ground, Treacherous, Dan Wilson, the last time with Gary Lightbody and Jackknife Lee, like, you can really tell she had no agenda when she was making this album other than coming in to open her heart up and bleed all over the page. And yeah, Red, the song title track is the real turning point of the making of that album. As she says in the Lover Diaries, like, that's where she felt like the album was really starting to veer into something that had a shape and could become an album, wasn't just a collection of songs. And I think her best albums have overarching themes that come together after the music is made, rather than trying to retroactively come up with a theme before the album is fully executed. Lover.
Heard of it?
Lover shade.
Heard of it?
But that's my screed on why Red is my favorite Taylor album of all time.
It was a screed. It was a screed. I feel like Red is one of those albums that goes to so many different places. In my opinion, it's always been some of Taylor's absolute career highs are on Red. Some of the greatest Taylor songs ever made are on the Red record. At the same time, I can't be listening to Starlight. I just can't. At the same time.
Turn it up.
At the same time, what's another one? Oh, I Hate the Last Time. That's a song that I just absolutely. I feel like
I never understand that for you.
Red was such a time of experimentation, even more so than Speak Now, that like sometimes she was experimenting in a way where I said, put the formula down. I think I've seen enough.
And that's the beauty of experimenting.
But and exactly. So you never know what you're gonna get. I also
Red and Evermore also are sisters.
They absolutely 100% they are. And that's the interesting thing about those two albums, is that they are so cosmically linked in a way that it's scary, that they know each other.
What's good and bad about them is pretty much the same.
Exactly. That's the freaky thing. I also really don't like The Moment I Knew. I'm exposing myself.
Yeah. I mean, I like the chorus, but it takes too long to get there.
It does. Otherwise,
you should have been there.
I used to have like such a strangely strong opinion on Red. As the years have gone on, it's like
I remember you were like low-key a Red detractor. Before,
know
what I think changed it? Maybe for you, it was Taylor's version.
I think so. I think that honestly, that Red Vault is so delicious.
It's the best one.
So good. I love the Red Vault. I love Red Taylor's version. Seriously, it's I think my favorite Taylor's version project. I love it so much. I loved the era that she made of it. I love the visuals. I love how committed she was to it. I love the vault. It's seriously, I think that I wasn't a Red detractor anymore at that point, but I definitely think it took me from being like a Red middle to like Red is closer now to the top than it is the back. I'll say that much about it than it used to be.
About that. Is it over Midnights and Lover? Well, yes.
Well, absolutely it is. Absolutely it is.
And you'll notice how there's no Midnights and there's no Lover on any of these lists.
Well, so those are two albums that I feel like are never going to see the light of the top 5.
No,
I
not
do.
For me.
Honestly, I used to really, really dislike Midnights. Now I kind of think it's better than Lover. That's kind of my onion. I think most of the time I'm thinking I prefer Midnights.
With you. I'm more likely to listen to it than I am to listen to Lover. The only thing about Lover that gives me pause is Cruel Summer.
Well, we also have You're on Your Own Kid on Midnights.
She's carrying.
I mean, let's not forget. Well, Midnights has some carriers too. I also really love, it's so funny. I used to not like Lavender Haze. Now I'm like, it's one of the best songs on Midnights and I love it. I love the way she sings on it.
I'm not there. I understand, but I'm not there.
Staring at the ceiling with you. I'm like,
yeah, sometimes I have to be in the mood. Maybe at midnight.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it. I think that's our top 5 Taylor albums. Get tickets, evolutionofasnake.com, do all the things, and we will see you soon.